Hi, Helen. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Either Side of Nhill. And first question, you are known as Helen of Nhill. It's a really great name and a play on the Greek legend Helen of Troy. How did that come about?
Well, my name came about from a stranger who, after listening to me prattle on about Nhill, he named me as the voice from Nhill. And I said, no, I can do one better than that. How about Helen of Nhill? As I used to do lots of 3AW talkbacks a few years ago when living in North Balwyn, and I was known also as Helen of North Balwyn. But on moving back home to Nhill, it somehow got changed.
Oh, well, I absolutely love it. And it seems like you have a real love of radio as well. So you talked about 3AW talkback. It's a great medium, isn't it, the radio?
Oh, wonderful.
I love it. 774 and Nova FM are my favourite radios. What's your favourite radio station?
Well, look, I like them all, really. 3AW and I like the ABC, especially Rebecca on the breakfast show, the morning show here.
Yes.
And I just, I just find they're very friendly and she always reads out my rain gauge. I go out, I race out and get the rain and say, text into them and say, oh, we've had about, 4.1 or whatever, 4.5, 4.5 or something like that.
Oh,
it's all fun. Yeah.
Super awesome. It's just started pouring rain here. I can hear it.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming down, belting down.
Oh.
Hey, Helen, you retired in Nhill 12 years ago, so you grew up in the country town. Can you tell us what that was like growing up in the country town?
Oh, look, as a kid, my childhood was wonderful, really. I had wonderful parents. I really had a good life as a kid. I was born here in 1950, went to kinder, state school, high school, then off to boarding school to Clarendon, PLC in Ballarat. And as a child at the age of about 10, my parents took on the ownership of a post office at Lorquin, which is north of Nhill.
Okay.
And so therefore I attended the little state school at Lorquin with only about 20 kids there for a couple of years. And whilst living at Lorquin at the tender age of 10, I was able to help my parents at the post office with working the 24-hour telephone exchange, Morse code for party lines and all of the above. And I thought I was pretty smart.
Amazing.
And even put the hand on the Bible and took the oath, which they had in those days with the postmaster, Mr. Burns, at Nhill Post Office.
Is that right?
Yeah. I was only about 10, remember? But it had to be done. I think I must have been the youngest.
Started early, yeah.
In the country. So anyway, that sure gave me a grand start with my career with PMG in those days. On my return home from boarding school and worked at Nhill Post Office until I turned 21. Then I thought it was time to move to the Big Smoke, of which I transferred. Sorry, my husband just walked in.
That's okay. Hi, husband.
Say hello, Kristy. You can cut that, can't you?
Yeah. I'll leave it in. It's funny.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It happens to all Hollywood stars.
Sure does, love. So you transferred to Dandenong.
Yeah, Dandenong telephone exchange in those days, because there was Croydon, Ferntree Gully, Dandenong, Frankston in those days, before all the big time started.
Yeah.
And we were the telephonists of the day. And anyway, then I moved along through PMG for quite a amount of years. And then I eventually worked in hospitality at the Windsor Hotel, Melbourne, which I just adored and I just loved it. And that would be the best job throughout all my jobs I had during my working life.
Yeah. And PMG is Postmaster General, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't often use that term anymore, do we?
We don't.
No.
Kids today will say, what?
Yeah. Well, I was at the local post office today, Helen, and You know what? You can absolutely buy anything at the post office.
I know.
You can buy stamps, envelopes, passport photos, visas, even an air fryer.
You're joking.
No, you can get anything. So, yeah.
I know they've got the best cards, greeting cards. Birthday cards and all that.
Or you can, buy a birthday card and also like a like one of those cards that, for like Bunnings or gift cards.
Yeah,
everything. Buy anything. Yeah. So did you live in Melbourne or Adelaide?
I lived in Melbourne, North Balwyn, which is a suburb of Melbourne, and with my husband Ken for about 25 years. And then it came time to retire. So not having any kids of our own, we thought, here we go. Yeah. So we sold up our city properties and moved to my hometown at Nhill, where we are living now.
Yeah.
And it was also more to have quality time with Mum, who was in her 90s.
Okay, yeah.
Of which I had 7 good years with her as she was in Avonlea aged care, that's low care. And bright as a spark she was. And we did so much together in that time until she passed away aged 99.9. Not bad.
Wow, you were really lucky to have those years with your mum, and I bet they were some of the best years for her as well.
Precious.
Absolutely. We know how important that is. But 99.9.
I know.
You know what? That sounds like Sir Donald Bradman's batting average.
She couldn't just make the 100.
She was so close.
Oh, she was so close.
Yeah. So, well, I'm sorry to hear that your mum passed away, but that's lovely that you were able to go home. And what was it like going back to Nhill after being away for so many years?
Look, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Just wonderful. And to me, it hadn't changed. My husband's a city boy, of course, but he liked to get back to the city. He called it culture. And I said, I don't need culture from the city. But as we country folk always say, we get to the top of the Pentlands on the Western Highway past Backish Marsh. Yeah. We look through the revision mirror and we can see the city and we say, ta-ta.
See you later.
See you later.
It's a great view in the review.
Off to the freedom.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Helen, what was your day job then? So you were using the switch, you were a switchboard operator, like
switchboard operator, bells and shutters and you know. It was great. It was a great job. Yeah.
One of my first jobs, Helen, was it was a receptionist I think it was doing some temp work, and there'd just been that switch from the plug. What do you call them? The plug
and shutters.
Yeah, to a commander system.
Yes.
I remember that time. God, that was a long time ago now, but that was a big change, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a big change. My word, it was. But it employed a lot of girls. Well, it was shift work. But even so, it was great, especially in a country town.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. I'm really interested in, you worked at the Windsor. What a beautiful old building. Tell us about your time there. What was that like working at the Windsor?
Gosh, where do I start? Oh.
Come on, dish the dirt.
All right.
No one listens to this.
Here it comes. Being in the front office area, I dealt with a lot of people who came in on long haul flights, and also I did meet up with Lillian Frank, Lady Scotter. I think Lady Renouf also had functions there in the grand dining room, which was the most beautiful room in Melbourne, I think, there. Yeah. And gosh, I don't know how many more if I could remember their names, but look. That's all behind me now, and I'm happy in my own little world up here in Nhill, away from the big races.
Yeah, because they still hold those amazing afternoon teas there, don't they?
Yes,
the high tea.
And yes, and the indulgence of chocolate and gosh.
Helen, over time you've become a bit of an identity, especially on ABC 774. Yes, you have. Yeah. How did that come about, and how do you feel about it? And do you get recognised around town?
Oh, look, everybody knows me as Helen of Nhill. everybody. Sometimes I put my cap on just to tease.
I love it.
When I moved to Nhill, it was difficult to get good radio reception up here. And I thought, now, what am I going to do now? As I just love talking about Nhill on radio and bring the world to know we have such a wonderful district and towns up here in the Wimmera. So I got onto the ABC, although still well known with 3AW Melbourne and 5AA Adelaide. Mm-hmm. The reception was better with the ABC. And I enjoyed the announcers too. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But we got to sort of, can I use that word?
Sure can.
Yeah, we got to sort of get to know each other.
Yeah.
And when I ring in, I always announce myself as, oh, hello, Dee Dee, or hello, Tom, on 3AW I'm talking. Helen of Nhill up in the Wimmera, the Wild West of Victoria. And I'd say, glazed over, I know. And they say, oh, here we go again. Oh.
I bet you they do. I bet you they love it.
And that lets people up in the Wimmera, that lets people know where you're actually from. Because a lot of people say, oh, hello, it's Tom, it's Mary from Kinnamakacta. Well, I'm sorry, where's Kinnamakacta? I know.
Where is Kinnamakacta?
Well, Kinnamakacta could be out near Wynnum. Or where's Wynnum? For goodness sake, you know. So anyway, I usually say I'm halfway between Adelaide and Melbourne.
Yeah.
And, that gives people a bit of an idea. Have you heard of Horsham? Well, it's an hour further on.
I love it. My mum, who listens to 774 in the morning, she said to me, you guys should chat to Helen of Nhill. You know, she's
really?
always on the radio. Yeah. So then that's when I did some Googling and found out, we connected. So you are a bit of a rock star, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know. But, you know, I do know that a lot of younger people haven't a clue of their geography, and I don't know what they learn at school, just between you and me.
Yeah. Don't worry, no one's listening.
We used to have to know every river in the state, every town, all this sort of thing. We had to know all of that. But, I guess I'm well known up this way, as lots of people meet up with me and ask. In fact, I had an incident, went away for 3 days, and a lady was in the shop and she must have recognised the voice. Mm-hmm. And she said, are you Helen of Nhill? Or do you know Helen of Nhill? And I thought,
what?
I was travelling through this little town called Harrow.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, I couldn't help myself. And this lady had made such a lovely compliment and said, oh, I listened to Helen of Nhill and she's lovely to listen to. And I thought, that was very nice of her. So I had to tell her, well, do you know what? I'm Helen of Nhill. Oh, she said, and she nearly fell over into the gutter, but never mind, you know.
Did you have your hat on at the time, Helen?
No, I didn't. But she was going across the road to a little shop because there's, nothing in Harrow. It's just a pub and a this and that. But it's a beautiful little place. Reminds me very much of Walhalla a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very
So
pretty.
Anyway, she went over there and I could hear her gurgling on, quacking on like a lot of geese, gaggling away with the women over there. I think she was going for afternoon tea or something anyway.
Oh, and you would have made her day, that's for sure.
Oh, look, I had to laugh. But look, so long as I'm bringing joy to people, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, that's a great attitude. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Hey, last time we spoke, Helen, you were actually volunteering at the Information Centre in Nhill. You would have seen some interesting travellers and some random questions. Are you able to share any, funny stories with us?
Oh, God, I do enjoy the Information Centre at Nhill and the contact I have with the different people who pop into the centre for maps or information or walking tracks or where's the best place to stay, eat, whatever, I love it. And I am the coordinator, in other words, volunteer. I'm not paid for this one, but I took it on for the centre and I do up the rosters, answer any questions. My valuable volunteers, 30 of them, mind you, want to know anything all instead of them going to the shy, you know what I mean? And this system works well. But look, I get a lot of people that travel through from South Australia, getting back to your question, and they all pop in and they know they hear me on the ABC or whatever. And one woman and her husband, they were travelling like crazy to get crows. They came from Kangaroo Island. That's right.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And they were travelling like crazy. And she said, finally, they parked the van and the car down in the park, down the end of the street. And she said, you would not believe it, but she said, my husband needed to get to Nhill. He wanted to get to Nhill because you told him that you were going to be on duty today. And she said he wanted to come and meet Helen of Nhill before 3 o'clock or whenever I knocked off.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good.
So it's real good. Yeah.
I love that.
It's lovely. And I've met lots and lots of people out there who come to Nhill, and they know, we know Nhill.
You're like your own tourist attraction.
Oh.
Hey, Helen, we love your passion for the overland train and your support of the train.
Oh, yes.
So we'd love to hear a little bit more about that. And also recently you had coffee with a Polly. Can you tell us some more?
Yes, we did. Yep, I'll tell you about that. But look, we love our overland train, and we have fought so hard to keep this special train on track, although, the timetable's the problem, and we have to do something about that because it's just ridiculous the way it is at present. And I'll give you an example. The overland stops at Nhill on a Sunday, and from Adelaide, that is, to Melbourne. And about 1 o'clock. But then next morning, being Monday, 8 a.m., it leaves Melbourne to return to Adelaide and gives you no time at all to do your appointments, shopping, or a show, which I love all the live shows, or whatever. But you cannot return on the overland until the following Friday at 8 a.m. So, when they say, we're not making any money. No wonder you're not making money. Change the timetable and then we'll make money. So anyway, it's just higgledy-piggledy. So we're also in need of a little daily shuttle from Ararat to Nhill up to Conaiva, turn around and come back and return, so people can at least get to Melbourne and return perhaps on the next day or whenever. But, we have a lot of thanks to go to Stuart Grimley, the Victorian leader of the Derryn Hinch Justice Party, who often organises coffee with the public, so we can discuss things with him so as he can place it onto the table at Parliament on our behalf.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're in big trouble up here in Victoria, this part of Victoria. Look at Mildura. They're stranded. They've got no train at all, none at all. And, there's no public transport at all. And well, I suppose, we can rely on the bus. But unfortunately, the disabled and the pensioners and elderly, they can't afford 4 nights in the city hotel just to wait for the next train. It's just crazy. And I realise there's buses and interstate buses, but the elderly and disabled, they can't manage that either. A bus is for a younger person, who can jump up the steps and sit there for 8 hours, 12 hours until they get to their destination. But sitting in one spot for 4 to 8 hours, it just doesn't work. So we keep plodding along in that area too, and we hope that Dan, our friend...
What are the pollies saying to you? What are they saying to you? Are they making any promises, or are they is it falling on deaf ears, the requests for the timetabling change, or what's
the status? I don't want to know. The Victorian government, sadly, there's a ring of fire. There's one iron ring right round Melbourne, Bendigo, Ballarat, Geelong, Mornington Peninsula, whatever, we can't get a train up, a good service up to our end of town, of the state. You take the Warrnambool train away, then you'll hear a hue and cry. Take away the Bendigo line, the Albury line. Take away all those trains. And when I hear people, blows me away, this. When I hear people saying, oh, the train is so late, oh, I say, listen, sunshine, we don't even have a train service. So, you know, I don't think the city people really understand how badly off we are up here. We've got the highway. We've got a good highway, I suppose you'd call it. But then you've got the semis, the trucks. You wouldn't even travel on it at night. We've got truck exchange out here of Nhill, west of Nhill, the truck exchange where the drivers change over their rigs and their loads. And I believe that's like what's that place out on Sydney Road that used to be Truck City?
Oh, okay.
I believe it's like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't been out there yet because
yeah. So you just have to
I'd like to see it.
So your role is, you know, to still keep pushing, you know, the politicians pushing. And you know, keep making as much noise as possible.
Absolutely.
Good on you. Good on you.
We've been on platform 1, Nhill Station. We've been really on there with a lot of supporters.
Yes.
Waving to the people on the train, and especially when it was the very last service before COVID, and then they said we weren't having any more, and then we had there was a slight little opening there, and then it all happened again. It came, you know, the South Australian government, Victorian government must have got their heads together somehow. But it all happened. So we were back on the platform waving our placards and going crazy and welcoming people. And they were all up to the window of the train taking photos.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those photos on Facebook. They're really good. Good on you for you know, persevering there. It must be very frustrating.
And the ABC were up there too with their cameras and everything.
Good.
And Margaret Millington, OAM, she's from Nhill and she's a wonderful woman. She's also a great speaker and great in front of the camera, and she really talks about it because she realises as well it's her passion to jump on the train as well. It's what it is for everybody else. Just to be able to jump on the train. We don't want a fast train. We're happy with this because it goes from Nhill, Dimboola, Horsham, Matoa, you know, down to Stawell, Ararat, and then it cuts down to North Shore. Well, then, you know, it's important we keep this overland train because we've got the GAN, the Indian Pacific from Adelaide. People jump on the overland. They get down to North Shore, jump onto the ferry down there, you see, and go to Tassie or go on to Melbourne. Yeah. It's important. The little overland train. It's 135 years old.
And train travel's so lovely, train travel.
Oh, look, 3 a.m. in the morning I used to catch it to go to boarding school. Poor Dad.
Oh, no. It's an early start. Geez, Helen. Hey, Helen.
I was young then. I was 16.
Hey, the Nhill Show Day and Nhill Heritage Weekend is coming up in October 13 to 16, and we'd like to hear a little bit more about it. Is there something that is there some information that you can share with us for our listeners?
Sure can. Our Nhill Heritage Weekend, it's going to be full on, not only with the Nhill A&P Society show on the Thursday, 13th of October, but we do hope that lots of people come up here to the Wimmera and enjoy exactly what we have to offer, because there's the Raymond Sherwell Engineering reunion with the staff of years ago. That's all gathering up. And our Nhill Aviation Heritage Centre at the Aerodrome will be open up in all its glory. So plus the Aero Radio building. And there's a heritage walk out there. There's a hot air balloon, I believe, coming too. And Andrew Cubey, Aviation Joy Flights. Now, Andrew's father was a pilot, and Andrew's taken over with his father from his father. Okay. And he does all these flights. Yeah. Down Pink Lake, near Dimboola, up to Lake Hindmarsh, Albacutcha, down to the Grampians, you name it. I haven't been on there yet because I like something with a bit of grunt under it, you know. But I'm not putting you all off. Please enjoy, because he's a good pilot. He really is. So anyway, that's you know, that's what it is. And also we've also got the Lions Market. The Lions Club Market will be on the Sunday of that great weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a big weekend.
So come up to the Wimmera.
Yeah, and we've got a link that will pop up on our social media, which is got all the weekend locations for the big weekend. So good luck for that.
And our, excuse me interrupting, but our silo, that's even opening up.
Yes, yeah.
So,
and what's your role in the weekend, Helen? What do you got planned? Will you be wearing your hat?
Oh, of course. Look, I've really got no role of importance. I just help out. I'm a Rotarian, and I just help out with our Rotary Club. And we've got the John Shaw Nielsen Cottage here down on the swamp. We'll have that open and cleaned out, and people can walk through and just see how they lived in those days. It's very basic, believe me. Yeah. And as I'm president of the Historical Society, we're keeping the doors open of the building as well, and help out wherever I can.
Fantastic. Sounds terrific.
With anybody else in the town. So I
didn't realise that you were the El Presidente of the historic. Yeah, El Presidente.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I cut the ribbons. I've got wonderful girls under me. I've got my secretary treasurer is Kay Scott. She's brilliant. She's wonderful. She runs the show. Yeah. And of course I've got Colleen as well, and she's doing a lot of research in there too. But we've still got the old building that was built way back in the 1880s. And we're hanging on to that as well. But we're we haven't got that much space in there, really.
Okay.
It's very sad. But look, when you look around the walls of that place, you see the forefathers who were there, and the big desk where they used to put your rates across and pay and all that sort of thing. So, it's a grand old building.
Yeah. Sounds beautiful. Sadly, our chat's coming to an end, Helen. But,
we could go on.
I know. I've got so much more I've got so many more questions, maybe part 2. But we do ask all of our VIP guests one very important question.
Oh?
Yes, Helen, what is your fish and chip order, please?
Oh, I don't eat fish and chips. But on the odd occasion, don't tell anyone.
No, look, I told you before. No one's listening, Helen.
I love potato cakes and nice mild fish grilled with some nice crunchy chips and lots of lemon. Now, doesn't that whet your appetite?
Oh, sure does. I can always go fish and chips. Absolutely delicious.
There's nothing like the old fish and chips, is there, really?
Yeah. Helen, it's been so lovely chatting with you this evening. Thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. And you've noticed the cap a friend made for me too, Helen of Nhill.
Yes, absolutely love it. I've got a photo of it. We're going to put it up on our social media.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time. Bye-bye, everyone.